Yeah, the funny thing when I used to teach just intuition and psychic development, which was years ago, there's always the wife that brings the husband that doesn't want to come.
Oh.
And 4 weeks into the class, the husband's actually getting everything faster, because sometimes the people that we think are really dense and don't want to do it, they don't have so many expectations, so things flow a little bit easier. So I've been always very surprised at the, what happens or what turns out. I'm always surprised. So I try not to have expectations.
So that happens a lot of times. I was teaching Tantra sometimes, and it wasn't always the woman bringing the man, but it seemed to be that in Tantra it was man bringing the woman, but after a while the woman was like learning faster than the man. So yeah, I think that happens sometimes. The reluctant one that's pulled along becomes the adept, and the other one kind of just cruises along. So fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask a question. I forgot what I was going to ask. Okay, so do you think, with all your years of teaching, who's more psychic, men or women?
I really couldn't say. When I started out teaching, people told me that only women sign up for spiritual workshops. And that was not true in my experience. I've had classes with a lot more men than women in it. And I had people from they have different motivation to learn to be more clairvoyant. I had attorneys that wanted to get a better feel of the courtroom, and, business people, all sorts of people that weren't necessarily on the so-called spiritual path. I mean, we're all on the spiritual path, but the motivation doesn't really matter. So people come because there's something that they feel they need to improve. And that can come in all areas of life and all people. So I can't say.
Okay.
I find it equal.
Mm-hmm. So how are you adapting in these COVID times? How are you adapting your teachings in your private practice?
I stopped the teaching, so I canceled all my planned workshops for this year, which was very sad because I love my Germany workshops. But I'll hopefully get to do that next year. And my practice is all over the phone, so that didn't make any difference there.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Today, are you back? Are you there?
Yeah, I've never left. I've always been here. I took my phone in there. That's why you heard the dog and everything. I was walking to go get my daughter in, but yeah, I'm here. Yeah, with this way that the COVID-19 has affected the world, we're supposed to, as Ascension Age beings, spiritual beings, or those that know about past lives and have older souls that come here to identify. How we identify is, I've been working with a lot of women that have gone above the matrix and recognized stepping into the fifth dimension and looking back at how people identify themselves in their perception of their own matrix they create and filter through. And like you said, Johanna, I always had the women bringing the men, and then the men wound up being in our groups and our circles and wanting to catch on, and some of the women weren't catching on to certain things we were teaching at the time. So I find that funny. But, yeah, I've always taught as a teacher that we're all psychics, that not everybody uses it, but we're all psychic. We're all meant to be extraterrestrials just here in a spiritual, physical realm to do our work and to level up somewhat. I call it the game of life when I started teaching metaphysics in Hawaii, where Janet is, and then we got into remote viewing and Spiritual World Network. But the synergy we create, that's what I'm looking to do now for 2021 and find people that we all align with. So, Johanna, tell us about your teaching about the past lives, because you said I looked familiar, and I don't believe there's any accidents when people cross paths, because we just aren't even sure how we really hooked up other than through LinkedIn, but you help people, and now's a good time with the way that we're staying at home now, and so many people that worked it out got to drive all day or drive into LA. They're now operating as technicians and computers from their home. But let's talk about giving them something further to talk about. Do you work with the women in the quantum heart field experiences? You've met quite a few around that share the same feeling you do and developing that. And also I'd like to talk about your past life and why I look familiar with you. So why don't you tell people how sometimes we don't know somebody, you know what I'm saying, and try to bring something around.
Yeah, I mean, we all have that moment of instant recognition, or we see somebody in a picture, or we meet somebody and we feel we know them. I think everybody's had that experience before.
Yes.
But when I talk about the past lives, I teach past lives, I think it's only important if it is useful to you. I mean, if it's just a fun story, it's a fun story, but it's not actually useful. But if it can actually change something in today's life, or if you can, let go of something that you've dragged around for lifetimes, then it becomes useful to you. So when I teach the workshops, I don't expect people to believe it, and there's always some people that say, okay, that doesn't really exist. And my answer to that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you make up a story in your mind or if it actually had any physical substance to that, because if we take it a little bit further, then what is reality? Is it a story just, or is there anything tangible to it? So I like to keep it on the level of making it useful. And past life regression to me has been really useful. I've had a phobia of breaking my neck ever since I can remember. And I was always afraid of it. And the older I got, the more it impacted my life. And so if I would trip, I instantly would think like, oh, I'm breaking my neck. And I didn't know where that came from. And then in a class, a past life regression class, it was more of a meditation. The teacher guided us to a past life, and I was someplace, and a fight broke out, and somebody picked me up and threw me against the wall, and I heard this really loud crack, and I broke my neck. And then everything went really peaceful right after that happened, and I opened my eyes again, and I thought, wow, breaking my neck is really not that big of a deal. And that was the end of me ever thinking I was going to break my neck. It just completely slipped my mind. It just comes back now when I want to say, okay, past life regression, is it useful to you? And I think yes, because you come up with these things in this past life scenario, these energies that are stuck or these fears that are stuck, and especially with phobias, you can really unlock the cause of that a lot of times.
Have you ever met somebody from a past life, like you're saying you know Theresa, but have you met anybody in your life that you're leading now, like on a personal level, that you definitely know was from a past life? Like I believe that my husband and I have known each other forever in many incarnations. Have you had anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually sure that everybody in my life is not the first time around.
Right.
But yeah, then there are some where memories come up that are where you actually recognize the person in another lifetime. Yes, definitely.
So what's going on between you and TJ? What are you remembering?
No, I just...
was it good, bad, neutral?
It was good, of course.
Put it on the spot.
No, I just
familiar.
saw her picture, and I thought, I knew her, and I thought we've had conversations before. I mean, it was just a feeling that I knew we've known each other.
Yeah, we click really good.
I mean, I actually thought we knew each other from this lifetime, but it turns out we didn't.
Ah.
Well,
I did the same thing.
From Germany. Yeah, you do look familiar, and I'm not sure how that works, folks, but that's part of our paranormal, spiritual, metaphysical group here. So we love to talk about it to see and the synchronicity and why we cross each other's paths. So we can talk about that because hopefully we can learn how to help people do what we do. I've got books here I can teach online, but I've got all type of skills I taught in Hawaii. I enjoyed helping people learn how to be psychic, and the past lives would come up because we were working with holodynamics and the healing part if they had a lot of anxiety or depression or were working with health issues. And I see in your bio that you've helped a lot of people, and sometimes we have. Like I've got a mole. I came into this life, a big brown mole on my right leg, but I've covered it with a tattoo of a pyramid and ET stuff. But that's because I always felt it was ugly. But I learned as a child they were called birthmarks. And then I had a strawberry over my heart that I've also covered with a tattoo. But I did that while I was in the military over in Japan. But what do you know about birthmarks? Did you study it in Germany or in your metaphysical work?
I don't know much about birthmarks. I have not thought about that, but that's interesting. It's interesting also that that it's called a birthmark. Probably something that identifies us in some way.
Well, yeah, the story goes when your birthmark, you possibly got hurt or shot or for some memory to come in. So it'd be my right leg and over my heart. So I guess I got shot through my heart while I was a Knights Templar. I have all kind of past life memories in Egypt and, different things. So do you have any of your past lives? You don't have birthmarks then, but do you have any past lives that you're willing to share, or how you transform people's memories, or tell us how you work with it as a tool.
I think the biggest one was having that phobia with breaking my neck. That was the most vivid and intense one that I had, but I had plenty of them. I was really afraid of public speaking. I mean, much worse than most people, and I did a past life regression with a colleague. I did 3 of them actually, and in one of them I was being executed at the marketplace, and there was that feeling of being entertainment. My execution was entertainment, and I could see everybody cheering and feeling like happy because it was like the Sunday show. Watching the execution on the marketplace, and I was terrified. Oh, no. And I didn't feel so good being executed. But when I came out of that past life regression, the fear went away of public speaking, like it was never there before.
Wow. So did someone take you under? Are you... Now, let's talk about the various levels of therapy, because you can do self-diagnosis, self-hypnosis, and you can also go to a therapist or licensed hypnotherapist in your state. But you're in California, but did you personally discover that being on display in the marketplace? I guess in my vision, I automatically saw Salem and burning at the stake, but you see all these movies over in Europe too, and maybe you were in Germany. I don't know. Did you know remember any location or get any knowledge?
Yeah, actually, it felt more like Fran, but